And we're back again this time to find out what you Nigerians have been saying, particularly netizens, what they're saying on social media. And we're focusing on X as usual. It's got to do with the tenancy laws. Tenants complaining that landlords are increasing the house rents. It's kind of like leading to hyperinflation, some have said, because if you were paying 700,000 naira for a two-bedroom flat somewhere in, let's say, Abule Egba or something, you might be paying about 1 million. Now, what justifies that rent? Well, anyway, Enugu State decided to take it in full custody this time, holding on to the constant cries from indigents who kept saying that the rent prices are too much. So they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to sit down and solve this issue. Now, while Enugu broke that law, coming out to say we're working on it, it kind of like caught the attention of Lagos State, because if you recall, just 2 days ago, here on Breakfast Central, we were asking Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to please pay attention, because it is a problem here in Lagos. Very soon, people will be sleeping outside, and you find out why it's so. Anyway, the special aide to the governor, Gawat, who uses Mr. Jigs on X, actually commented on this. As you can see there, Jibril Egawat said, Lagos, in caps, coming soon. A very strong issue, but must be well discussed and implemented after deliberation by the Lagos House of Assembly, especially following after what Enugu had done. And I must say this here on what Nigerians are saying, that I really appreciate the way the special aide to Governor Sanwo-Olu was able to interact with a lot of persons on X, and that's why we decided to focus on his page today and see how people are indeed speaking. So let's start off with our very first tweet. When he threw it open on his page, people started responding, and the first one happens to be Abiodu, who goes by the name City Boy. Of course, you know who the real City Boy is, right? You should know by now, yeah? That's your, Anyway, City Boy replies, Mr. Jax, who happens to be the special aide to the governor. He says, a guy got a two-bedroom apartment for 700K here. He dealt directly with the landlord. If agents were involved, he'd have paid 1.2, 1.3 for the same apartment. So he's simply saying that the problem with housing happens to be the middleman, who happens to be the agent. Do you think agents are the problem? Drop a comment when we indeed put this up, and let's hear what you have to say as well. Well, another comment under his page says, sir, that 10% agency and commission fee, not the real issue. House go be 700K, them go add 500K on top. No be true, not true now. And that's what we know. That's what happens, because if you're paying 700,000 for a house, you add 500,000 to that. Of course, you know what you're paid at the end of the day. You're paying about 1.2, just like the previous tweet had indeed also said. But this is also more response to what the special advisor said. But the truth is, houses that are not newly built shouldn't have anything to do with rent hike, except for the renovated ones. This is from Starboy_XS. Now, in case you do not know Starboy, the landlords will evict you and tell you they need to renovate the apartment, and then the prices go up. It's starting to become the norm in some parts of Lagos. Have you noticed? Yes, you might get an eviction notice, and then they say they need to, revamp the building because the prices will need to go up. And Singflow, he calls himself Honorable Minister of, I don't know, but he says, Kokonyo is responding to the special aide to the governor. He said, it is not your business, so this is private business. If you want rent to be cheap, build government houses and rent, then at giveaway prices. When I dey buy Dangote cement, una no help me. When I dey settle Omo Nile, una no dey there. When I want to benefit, you want to regulate me. Kilo de. Well, we do understand this point. In all of his comments right here, responding to the special aide, he has a point. And that point has to be with the government building houses that can actually be easy for citizens, residents to actually live in. Because where are the government-owned houses? We did discuss that here sometime on the drawing board, and you would hardly find any. Well, let's see if we have one more. That's if we do. Yes, we do. Olajide Taiwo says, Egbo, responding to him, it's a different thing enacting laws and another thing implementing the law. As I speak, my rent has been increased twice in just a matter of 3 years, with 70% on every increase. What is this? You'd say wizardry, right? Yes, 3 times? That's huge. Let's say we have one more tweet where this comment is being made. Government intervention should not be to control rent, as it will reduce incentive to invest in the housing market. If supply is low, rent will skyrocket, as undercover payments will be the norm. This conversation is not going to stop here, because there's a lot of conversations around there is increase in demand, and we want to find out if it is. Now, this one got me cracking. He said one developer, they charged 3.5 billion naira for 2-bed in Akowonjo. The house be like sliced bread. Bing, I don't know if you've seen these houses.
That's ridiculous.
Have you seen these houses?
Some of the architects, the builders, I'm sure they're not regulated. It's like, I can't even explain it. They're ridiculous. The space. And you wonder, how did we get here? Sometimes you work with agents, they say, what are you looking for? What are you looking for? You tell them, they take you into what you call almost a dungeon.
Dungeon. Or better still, and you wonder,
a sliced bread.
A sliced bread, just like this guy said. They said, and it's in Akowonjo for 3.5 million.
I mean, it's ridiculous. There are different ways to this. The industry is deregulated. It should check itself.
Yeah.
But government needs to come in at some point with regards to those exorbitant fees. But you cannot determine how much a landlord needs to charge. Like our guest said in the opening discussion we had. Government also has a responsibility to provide housing, mass housing. They're cheap. You could use technology to do prefab houses. There are container houses. There are different ways you could, work around your budget depending on the location. Because housing is a basic human right and a need. So when government provides a lot, it would reduce the demand from the private landlords, and let that low cost. Jakande did it in the past, and some of these buildings are still standing. A lot of Lagosians are still enjoying. So it can be doable, and it should be truly low cost when you say you're providing low cost housing for the masses.
I agree with you, but you see, in the interim, before the government wakes up, because as far as I'm concerned, the government is sleeping on mass housing. How do we deal with this particular problem? There seems to be an elephant in the room. It's got to do with the increase of rent.
The laws are there; they're protected. It's implementation, and the landlords will get very personal. Like if you're taking them to court or you're challenging them. Not all landlords are like that, but some of them will get personal and look for a way to just, this guy's a troublemaker. And our nature as people. I don't want wahala, let me just pay for this. And that's what makes them do all these sorts of things. Look at the young man that said his rent has been increased arbitrarily in the last 3 years.
3 years, 70%. It's shocking. And what's really shocking is the fact that you do have some of these houses in certain areas that shouldn't even get up to that price. So what's the yardstick? How did you take your rent from just being 300,000 naira for a room to all of a sudden 900,000 naira? And when you talk to them, they say it is what is obtainable.
Maybe the landlord added service charge. Maybe he has 24 hours electricity.
Is he providing fuel?
He's built tennis court, jacuzzi, swimming pool, perhaps, in Akowonjo.
Anyway, this goes to show what Nigerians are saying on social media.